Good. Okay, let's restart. Um, we were talking about the cost management in general and the evaluation of, or the check of tender, the detailed check of tender, which means, just to take some points out of it, as I said before, it has much to do with the general check of tender, but more in detail. For example, how about the traffic around the site? We concentrate on the site. How about the conditions of the site? How can I get with my machines, with my trucks and everything to the site? What is the traffic situation of the site? How many space is there for my things, offices, containers, space for my materials, and all these things. I check that. How about the supply. How about the supply of let's say water, electricity, and everything I need on the site, all these things. So I check this also by going on the site. If I in general said, okay, I will bid for this tender, then I check the site itself, the conditions of the site, also the detailed conditions of the plans and things, the documents which the client sent to us who are going to bid. For example, the specialized to observe or to note requirements related to the building permission. For example, there are often supplementary obligations related to the building permission, for example. I have to check that. Why? Because I wouldn't be surprised then when I have got the contract and then I start to think about it, and then there will be generated costs, more costs and more time and so on. And to be able to calculate all this in my original bid, in my contract. Because usually, I thought it's the same in Great Britain, usually after contract, after we have agreed about the price, usually only if there are changements, change orders with different wishes of the desires of the client, but usually this price is fixed. Yeah? So all these plans are checked, and also the plans of the existing evaluate documents regarding existing buildings and plans, plans of supply lines, and so on. And also compile a list of required plans or received plans. Why received plans? Why would it be important also to document, to make a documentation of the received documents? What would you say? When do I need this? If I have the contract, after having the contract, the bidding phase, I list all the received documents and maybe also needed documents or the documents are asked for at the client. Why would it important to document all this?
If something goes wrong.
If something goes wrong, if there will be later a conflict, a legal conflict between the client side and my contractor side, it would be very important to have documented everything, to have documented the plans, the documents, the things I've got. In general, I suppose that you know that, and you've heard it more than one time, I think. What is very important in construction management is documentation. Documentation is one of the most important factors, because with documentation, if there is later legal conflict, so imagine if you are dealing with a legal conflict and then you say, we talked about this and we agreed about this, but you can't you can't give evidence about it. Every judge and everyone would say, maybe he is right, maybe he is right, and so on. But if you can show a document, a paper, written, and so on, it's much of a difference. So documentation in general is highly important. which means work, but you get used to it. You get used to it to document everything. Yeah. Good. Next, please. Then we did the following. You can show the next also. Yeah. In the phase of the bidding, if we are unsure about some things in the plans, in the descriptions, in the specifications, if we're unsure about things, we change it. We change the role. We say, let us ask the client or the client's people, like the architect, engineers, and so on, who are in charge of it from the client's side. Let's ask it and document it. And even this was on a forum at Strabag. Strabag is the second biggest in Germany and Austria and so on. Also 40,000 people working there, a real big player, working also in the Middle East and in Africa, Nigeria, also on everything, infrastructure, streets, highways, bridges, tunnels, but also very much in high-rise building and very much in building ready to use. Yeah? So everything is standardized, which has the advantage that you wouldn't forget anything, or that you wouldn't, it's easier for the project responsibles to work with standardized things. Maybe it's also because Germans like to be standardized and like regulations, but it makes life easier. Honestly, it makes life easier. Yeah? So this would be something like that. You write the question, you write the answer of the client side, his architect, his engineer, and it's written, and then it's documented. That's the important thing. Then, concerning the cost management, there is also one important thing, but I suppose you know that anyway, which is called the, if I have now to, if I have now the situation that I have as a main contractor, I have to give away all my, I have to spread all my trades, all my works to a number of contractors, of subcontractors, and I have to know before I give away this work, before I give a contract to my subcontractor, I have to know what is the limit. What is the limit up to which sum I can give him this contract, so that I wouldn't, if I have 50 contracts, that I wouldn't over-exceed or exceed my sum. Yeah? I have my sum, I know, 35 million, so I have, for subcontractors, I have 30 million, let's say, so I have to divide it for the different trades, and then I have to know exactly, for example, for these, this was a connecting bridge out of steel, bearing brackets and profiled steel and I don't know, yeah, many things. And so I have around 60,000 for these euros for this work. I have to know it exactly, because when I give it on the market and I get my bids for my, this is steel works, I have to know where do I have to evaluate my bids, which the first three subcontractors or bidders I would invite for a negotiation, and up to which limit I can go with him. Yeah? Maybe I can tell him, okay, this is a bit high, the unit price, or here, let's say, the unit price is high, and it should be, I have a basis, a foundation for the negotiations. Yeah? Next, please. Steel cost management. Then, yeah, official records of awarding for subcontractor tasks. Would you call it like that?
Yeah.
Protocol?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Just a sample of that. Next, please. Sample of that. It's just it deals with when I have the negotiation with a subcontractor or with a bidder, and maybe it would be a contract. There are several points we deal with. For example, what are the conditions of, he would want to know, Can he use the tower crane also, for example, for the subcontractor for the gypsum partitions? It would be very interesting if his workers for a 5 or 6 story building have to carry it on their back, all the floors, or if he could before the windows are installed, if he could by the crane could put it on place. Much of a difference concerning time.
Like mechanized labor and
it
manual labor.
takes less of time. Workers are more motivated than if they have to carry it all day long to the stories, to the different floors, and so on. Yeah? So this makes a big difference. All this would be talked about in this negotiation between bidder and a main contractor, so that he knows, the subcontractor knows the conditions of work. Yeah? And then he could possibly give a reduction of price, yeah? And so on. So these are these things, or we deal with the penalty, contract penalty, we deal with the schedule in English, and so on.
But even the anticipated hours of the workers, so exactly your question that you asked. Yeah, so it's quite detailed on that level.
Yeah. Or even if there are additional works which are not in the contract, I, as a main contractor or even the client side, would like to know how much costs a worker, because then he would submit to me a sheet written on it, 2 workers, 15 hours, yeah? And then there is a price per hour, per unit. It makes a difference if this price per hour is, I don't know, the price is here 10 pounds per hour or 11 or 12 pounds per hour, because it will sum up. It will sum up. In the end, it's quite a sum. Yeah? Yeah, it's called hourly wages. That's what I've written before. Form of awarding, guarantee, performance security, and so on. Did he see the plot or not? And so on. Good. Cost control is one of the, after getting the contract, all this was bidding, and after getting the contract, which is the next phase, in the cost management, it's always in certain intervals a comparison between the budgeted costs, which are my limits, and the real costs on site in project. You know what I mean? We call it soll ist, which would be like has to be and is really. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. So what
yeah, it's a classical pricing of estimated spend, yeah, and where you are in reality. Yeah, so plotted literally how much you have spent and how much you should have spent by that point. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, how much you should have spent as a maximum, and how much you really are going to spend. Yeah, ideally, it would be you are really going to spend, not have already spent. Because if you have already spent, you have no chance to change anything. But if you are anticipating, okay, this would be a problem, then you can react before it happens. So this would be an example of this. It is a cost control, deals with the banister. I've been said by our English teacher, it's called banister. Is that true? Yeah. Banister from the staircases, yeah? Treppengeländer, banister from the staircases. So in this project, Procter & Gamble main administration, for the staircases, there were some general master plans or execution implementation plans in general, which said that it was just a simple banister as a handrail with just a simple thing. Was ist jetzt Stabgeländer?
Oh,
Spindles?
yeah, spindle could be, yeah.
Also, very simple thing. Yeah. Now, in the current planning shows the following construction. a wooden handrail, a post and frame construction, a filling with metal lattice, you know what that is, yeah? I can only imagine, and a coating. And all this together would cost 270 euros per laufender meter is per meter, yeah? Linear meter, linear meter, and this would cost, the standard simple version would cost 150 euros per linear meter, which means that this delta of 120 euros per linear meter means total sum of additional costs, of supplementary costs of almost 70,000 euros. So this comparison between the budgeted costs and the real costs for this special thing, yeah, I can realize it only if I analyze always in intervals the should be situation and the is the real situation. You got me? Yeah. So then I can react. Then I can say, okay, dear client, your architect has given this, and the contract is this. Do you want this, but it means 70,000 euros more? Do you want it or don't you want it? And then it depends in which phase this happens. Maybe I already ordered, or my subcontractor already ordered the parts of this first standard implementation. Maybe it's too late. Or maybe it could change, but it costs him more to give the old things back and to order the new things, or anything like that. So all this has to be taken in account, and it gives me a basis to negotiate with my client, and knowing the consequences in terms of cost and time. Next, please. Then the next big theme or topic, pillar, we call it pillar, is time scheduling, time management. One of the main things in the beginning, when we go back now, we finished cost management from the beginning, bids till realization, implementation. Now we really start with timing, with scheduling. And in the beginning, what do I have to do in the beginning? Now I got the contract. I have just some general details, general technical specifications. What, as a main contractor, do I have to do?
Sorry.
I have to do planning, that's it. I have to do planning exactly for the different trades. Yeah? Planning for the now, not only because it's written there, but it's planning, for example, for the heating, planning for the electricity in detail, yeah, planning for the facades in detail. How are the details, and so on. All this is done either by specialized experts, engineers, mechanical engineers, and so on, or by companies. For example, facade would be detailed and given an okay from my side, also maybe from client side, but detailed by the specialized company who will construct it, erect it, implement it. Yeah? So, what do I have to do? I have to have a planning of the planning concerning time, concerning scheduling, which means, next please, it's a bit of a difficult chart, not to be seen in the background, even maybe not here, but I will tell you. Anyway, it's in German. So, here we have the different works which have to be done. For example, heating, sanitary equipment, staircases, anything. Yeah? The different works and trades. Here I have who has to do the specification. In Büro means engineering office or consulting office, and then the names. Yeah? Kollmeier and G and B and whatever. Yeah? Here it is who has to do which technical specification. And then, and that's the important part, till when, what is the time limit, the period of time, the span of time, till when has this office, this consulting office, to submit, do you say surrender or submit? Submit. Till when has the different, the engineering office or consultant to submit this specification? Till when has to be the submission or the response? Yeah, the time of giving the contract. Yeah? I make the special specifications. Till when has it to be? Yeah, it's the same like here. Yeah? Till when there is when the specifications are finished, which are the the tendering documents, they are sent on the market. Let's say to 20 subcontractors. Till when do they have to come back? Till when do they have to be negotiated and given as a contract to one of them? Till when has this contractor, subcontractor, to submit his implementation plans, let's say for facade or there are some things like screed, you don't need any special plans, but let's say every steelworks, you need specialized plans and so on. Till when does he have to submit this? Till when do they have to be checked and given an okay? Yeah, these plans. Till when has to be the, wait a minute, I've written all that. It's our English teacher. Submission of work plan, checking, examining work plans. Provision of samples. Till when have to be the provision of samples? Let's say tiles and everything which is designed. For toilets and kitchens and so on, tiles. And till when does the client have to have decided about that? I have to ask the client to be in this time scheme also. I have to put him also into this time scheme. He has to obey as a client also this time scheme. Understand what I mean? So, and all this, because when I count from the back, so to say, when is the implementation? What is the pre-time before the implementation? Maybe I need pre-time to order my tiles, to order my materials, to order my handrails, to order my banisters or whatever, my window profiles, my parts. I need a certain pre-time. Yeah? So when I calculate it from the end, so to say, I know what this is the main data, the fixed data, and then I know, okay, I have this time from here to here, this time span for submitting the contract. I have this time for making the documents, for getting the biddings and so on. Yeah. If there's anything you don't understand because of my German English or very funny English, let me know. Yeah? Maybe there is an expression I thought you understand and you've never heard of it.
Is this the implementation stage?
Yeah, this is the beginning of the implementation. This is before the implementation. That's why
So is this like still tender? Like you're
before I go to tender.
You use the main contractor or looking to tender still to the client, so you're getting all your tenders on.
That's it.
So the
Before-
contract time period, as you said, hasn't actually started yet. You
No,
know,
doch.
has
Yes. I've already, as main contractor, I've already got my contract, and I know, okay, I have to start with the first works, let's say 4 weeks. But there are other works which starts in 3 months, and there are other works which starts in half a year, and there are other works which start, which start in 6 weeks or so. So I have to plan, I have to schedule, or let's say schedule. I've heard that schedule is American and schedule is English. I have to schedule my works as a contractor, not the works anyway. On the site, I have to schedule, that's for clear. But I have also to schedule the works in the office, in my main contractor's office, where the people are sitting and doing and working on technical specifications, doing on documents for the subcontractors for the bidding of future subcontractors. I have to all my consultants, I have to have a plan to know these time spans.
We call that here your lead-on time.
Leading time.
Lead-on time.
Leading to the contract.
It's like that's where I was just getting a bit confused. You've got the
I've got the contract.
and
Yeah.
the letter signed saying
Right.
you're ready to go, and so that means you can now say to your contractors, there you go, let's get going, and basically then everybody has. But then I assume by this stage you already have a draft program that you have agreed with your subcontractors.
No, I still
No.
haven't. I have the mass of subcontractors. I still don't have. When I usually, at least in our countries, I do the main bid, having asked before some costs bids from future subcontractors, which altogether form my general bid. I submit the bid to the client. I get the contract after he negotiates with me. I get the contract, and then I start to really detail documents, to send it on the market, to get bids, and to choose one of them as a subcontractor for every trade. And then I have my group or team of subcontractors, peu à peu, step by step, not all in the beginning, some in the beginning, some later, some later, some later. And I have, in the beginning, I've done a draft or a plan to plan my planning works. Not only to plan anyway, to schedule the works on the site plan, on the site itself. Yeah?
So you do like a preliminary program. That's what I was.
Exactly.
So you have this is kind of, because everybody needs to know if you're pricing for something, you gotta, like, if you're giving out to your subcontractors, they come back to you. They need to know, you might have what was it, 20, how many months was the contract?
36.
36, but they might only have been in it for 4 months of a
Yeah, right.
so they need to.
Yeah. There may be, let's say, that one subcontractor will be, for example, from months 5 to months 8. Another will be from month 7 to month 9, and so on. But in the beginning, before I have all these subcontractors, I have to plan these making of documents, these acquisition of subcontractors, and the pre-time the subcontractors need for sampling and for ordering their materials, and also for planning their own works, capacities, workers, machines, and so on. Yeah? And it's differently to be seen, it's another thing compared to the scheduling I anyway have to do for the works on site. I anyway have to schedule masonry, I have to schedule facade works, I have to schedule when are the ceiling works, when are the screed, when are the tiles, and so on. That's anyway I have to do that, this bar chart or Gantt chart. I think it was an Englishman anyway. Yeah, so this is for sure. I have to do that anyway. But even I have to sit and reflect to analyze my project before anything is done on the site. I have to think about the pre-things to get the documents for who has till when time to finish the documents for this and this trade, for this and this bids.
So the conceptual terms would be,
months.
yeah, well, to take it a model up and maybe make it more international. This is the difference between the concept, yeah, what was described initially, to the feasibility study, pricing it out, how much will it be roughly. And this is done after a standard in Germany or in German-speaking areas, which is a D. And now what it comes to with the subcontractors is the definition stage, where you basically get your subcontractors on board, they give you as well the samples to reach the desired quality, yeah, or you have the lead times. If you have, for example, elevator stairs, something like this, you know, you have a long lead time. So this needs to be probably booked quite sharpish, but they don't come on site till maybe 6 or 7 months down the line. Does that make sense? Yeah? And this is in the definition where you really define who is doing what work, and this is where this feasibility planning is translated into actual planning, and this is as well when you have to go back to the client potentially to assure if then change is agreed later on particular positions, that this is actually accommodated in that specific planning to actually do the construction.
The other thing is, and that would be the next chart. The other thing is the as you know anyway, the works itself on site. Yeah. For example, the facade, electrical, rough in cabling, elevators, and so on. As a courtesy for you, it's in English. Yeah. Anyway, but it's originally in English. And there you can see there are in this bar chart. There are things when I have like my end of the 17th week, I know, okay, these works are 5 weeks in retarding? No, not retarding.
Delayed. So
Delayed, yeah. Retarded is something else. Yeah. 5 weeks delayed or 2 weeks delayed.
Yeah, by the way, just for communication purpose, in aerospace we literally call it retarded. Yeah, so we call a position retarded as in delayed, slowed down. Yeah, but I know that in English this has other connotations.
There are retarded human beings, as far as I know.
Yeah, this was the connotation which is not politically correct.
So, okay.
Yeah, but so in construction we have shifted away from it. In aerospace we are still running around with it.
Yeah, you see, I'm learning all the time while I'm here. So, and then there are other trades or works which are 3 weeks in advance. Yeah, they are already finished, although they still would have 3 weeks in advance. You know that. That's just a normal bar chart for the real works on site, which you can touch. The other things are brain works or documents. Yeah, next, please. So this is all. What you have seen is always, like by cost management, it's a comparison between should be and real situation. Status quo. Yeah.
Sorry, that's in the main contract here that you do offer to client. You give him the price and the time.
Yeah. The contract is mainly 3 things. Or 4 things. One thing is what is the price for which works. Second, what is the time given for which works, for these works. And the third thing is what are the conditions of work. Yeah? For example, can the subcontractor use a crane or so? Did I misunderstand? Pardon me?
We don't work in the same way in the Middle East.
Okay.
In the Middle East, we ask the main contract just about the price. This is the tender, this is the specification, this is the time. For example, when you're 2 years, give me your price.
Yeah.
Okay, that's mean easy for the client to choose
But that's the
between
same.
the price.
The given thing by the client is the time. The client defines the given time. And it's not the contractor. The client defines you've got time for these works from, let's say, 10th of April 2014.
How the client give you the time if the client don't have the specification?
Yeah, but the client has a
He's
team
saying
of,
give them so many months to do it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a duration that is specified. So you have like 3 months to do it, for example, for specific work that is pre-priced. And you're quite right, in the Middle East we don't go by the standard, we price it from scratch and then the positions are tendered on the package basis. This depends what your subcontractor can do. So this is a little bit the difference.
sorry.
But in a way this is it.
But it would be a real problem if we leave it all to the contractor, because then the contractor defines what the time of the whole project would be, because one contractor says it's 10 months, the other says it's 11, the other says it's 13 months, and so on. Just a second. But the client is the one who knows, I need this building, for example, till end of August next year. So only if one bidder would say, okay, I need 1 more month, then I could be cheaper than this and this, then the client would think about it, because maybe for him the time, the limit of time is not as important as the price. Maybe if there would be a reduction of 3% or so, and it would be delivered 1 month later, it would be from the side of the client, would be interesting, maybe. Yeah? But in general, it would be, from my thinking or point of view, a problem to leave it to the construction side to define the time. Because then they say, although I'm a construction site man, I come from the construction industry, and although I was in later years on the client side, but my heart is from the construction industry. I'm a construction industry man. Yeah? I wouldn't leave it to the construction industry to define the time. It has always to be the client who says, I need this, I want this. I define, as a client, I define my requirements, because I'm the one who orders. We say in German, wer bestellt, bestimmt, which means who orders, defines. Who orders says, that's what I want.
Yeah, I was just saying that the only time we ever give, what I've ever given in the Middle East is we need it on this date, and that's it. The contractor does every other day possible. We just say, this is the completion date, meet that, that's it. And they bring every day on what they need.
Right.
We follow their dates at that point.
Yeah. To me, I can understand that. Just let me know one thing, apart from this, because I originate from the Middle East. Where do you come from the Middle East?
No, I worked there.
Oh, you worked there? I thought you come from. No, because I was born in Cairo, but I don't know Egypt almost at all. I've lived there only 1 year, and then we went to Germany.
I have a feeling we have to bring this to a close for now, but maybe we can discuss it at the beginning of the seminars, and then we want to look a little bit at the relationships between the different stakeholders and come to the dynamics as well, because as you have already identified, this is a quite managerial approach. We are managing as well subcontractors, and as you pointed out, this is not happening necessarily in the Middle East. And this is maybe worth debating, because this gives us a little bit of perspective as well, where the different subcontractors or how our relations are actually negotiated. Can we thank Sami in the usual way? Thank you. Thank you. And we take the questions then in the seminar as well. Yeah? Okay, I see you in 1 hour. Great, thank you.